When seasoned hiker John Matthews sets out alone in Yellowstone, he never expects to face a relentless grizzly bear that transforms his peaceful journey into a life-or-death battle. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Dive into his heart-wrenching fight for survival and discover the true strength of the human spirit. Write in the comments where you're watching this video from. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden glow over the small town of Pine Ridge. Birds chirped happily, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the tall pine trees. In a cozy house at the edge of town, John Matthews was up early, bustling with excitement. At 45 years old, John was a big man, weighing 357 pounds, but his spirit was as strong as ever. John stood in his living room, surrounded by maps and hiking gear. He carefully folded his backpack, making sure everything was in its place. There were extra water bottles, snacks, a first aid kit, and even a camera to capture the beauty of Yellowstone National Park. John loved nature more than anything, and this solo hike was his biggest adventure yet. His wife, Maria, walked into the room, carrying a warm cup of coffee. "Good morning, John," she said with a smile. "Ready for your big day?" John looked up and grinned. "Almost. Just making sure I have everything I need." Maria handed him the coffee and gave him a hug. "Be safe, okay? We're all rooting for you." John nodded, feeling a wave of gratitude. "Thanks, Maria. I'll be back before you know it." Down the street, John's best friend, Mike, was getting ready to visit him. Mike was a lean man with a friendly face, always ready with a joke or a helping hand. When Mike arrived, he brought a hearty breakfast to fuel John's journey. "Morning, buddy," Mike greeted, setting down a stack of pancakes and bacon on the kitchen table. "Looks like you've got everything set." John laughed. "Yeah, I want to make sure I'm fully prepared. This hike is going to be something special." They sat together, eating breakfast and chatting about the upcoming trip. Mike admired John's determination. "You've been planning this for months. I know how much it means to you." John took a bite of his pancake and nodded. "It's not just about the hike. I need some time alone, to think and to feel connected to nature." Mike smiled. "I get it. Sometimes a little adventure is all you need." Later that day, John met with his sister, Emily, at their favorite coffee shop. Emily was kind and caring, always there to support John. They talked about the hike and what it meant to him. "I'm proud of you, John," Emily said, reaching out to squeeze his hand. "You've worked so hard to get ready for this." John looked down, feeling a lump in his throat. "Thanks, Em. It's been tough, but I think this trip will help me find some peace." Emily nodded, her eyes soft with understanding. "I know you will. Just promise me you'll be careful." "I promise," John replied, smiling weakly. "I'll call as soon as I get there." As the weeks passed, John's excitement grew. He spent hours studying maps and planning his route. He read books about Yellowstone, learning about the animals and the trails. His family and friends watched as he prepared, seeing the passion in his eyes. One evening, John sat on his porch, looking out at the stars. He thought about why this hike was so important to him. A year ago, his father had passed away, and John had felt lost without him. Hiking with his dad had been one of their favorite activities, and now, alone, John hoped to feel close to those happy memories again. Maria joined him, wrapping an arm around his shoulder. "Thinking about Dad?" she asked gently. John nodded. "Every day. This hike is my way of honoring him. We always talked about exploring the wild together." Maria smiled softly. "He would be proud of you." John took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air. "I miss him a lot. But I think this will help me heal." The next morning, everything was ready. John double-checked his gear, making sure he had enough food and water for the journey. He packed his camera, determined to capture every moment. Maria and Mike came to see him off, each offering words of encouragement. "You're going to do great, John," Mike said, giving him a firm handshake. "Just remember to take it easy and enjoy the beauty around you." John nodded, feeling a surge of confidence. "Thanks, Mike. I will." As John drove to the trailhead, he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The road to Yellowstone was long, winding through forests and mountains. He listened to his favorite songs, singing along softly. The landscape was breathtaking, with towering trees and clear blue skies. When he arrived at the park, the scent of pine and fresh earth filled the air. John took a moment to admire the vast wilderness before him. He stood at the edge of the trail, taking in the beauty that stretched out in every direction. The air was crisp and cool, perfect for a hike. John started walking, his steps steady and confident. The trail was well marked, leading him deeper into the heart of the park. He marveled at the sights around him, the vibrant colors of the autumn leaves, the sound of birds singing, and the gentle rustling of animals in the underbrush. As he walked, John felt a sense of peace wash over him. The worries and stresses of everyday life seemed to melt away, replaced by the simple joy of being in nature. He took out his camera, capturing photos of the stunning scenery and the wildlife he encountered. Hours passed, and the sun climbed higher in the sky. John stopped to rest by a bubbling brook, enjoying the cool water and the soothing sounds of the flowing stream. He ate a snack, savoring the quiet solitude and the beauty that surrounded him. Later that afternoon, John set up his tent in a clearing, preparing for the night. He built a small fire, feeling the warmth against the chill of the evening air. As the stars began to twinkle above, he reflected on his journey so far. "This is just the beginning," he thought. "There's so much more to see and experience." John lay down in his sleeping bag, listening to the sounds of the wilderness. The night was calm, with only the occasional hoot of an owl breaking the silence. He felt a deep sense of contentment, knowing he was exactly where he needed to be. The next morning, John woke up early, eager to continue his hike. He packed up his gear and set off again, following the trail through dense forests and open meadows. Each step brought new discoveries and a deeper appreciation for the natural world. As the days went by, John navigated through various landscapes, rocky hills, serene lakes, and lush valleys. He encountered different animals, from playful squirrels to graceful deer, each adding to the richness of his adventure. John kept a journal, writing down his thoughts and experiences, capturing the essence of his journey. One afternoon, John came across a breathtaking view from a high ridge. He stood there for a long time, taking in the panoramic scenery. The mountains stretched out in all directions, their peaks kissed by the soft sunlight. The sight filled him with awe and a profound sense of wonder. "I never get tired of this," John whispered to himself. "There's always something new to see." As he continued his hike, John felt stronger and more determined. The challenges of the trail only fueled his passion, and he pushed himself to keep going, step by step. Each day brought new experiences and a deeper connection to the land he loved so much. One evening, John sat by a campfire, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink. He thought about his family and friends back home, feeling grateful for their support and encouragement. Maria had been his rock, always there with a kind word and a warm embrace. "I couldn't have done this without you," John said softly, gazing into the flames. Maria had told him stories of her own adventures, inspiring him to seek out his own path. Her belief in him gave him the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As night fell, John looked up at the stars, feeling a sense of connection to something greater. The vastness of the universe made his journey feel both significant and humbling. He closed his eyes, letting the sounds of the night lull him to sleep, dreaming of the trails yet to be explored. The next morning, John woke refreshed and ready for another day of hiking. He followed the trail alongside a sparkling river, the water clear and inviting. He paused to take a sip, feeling the coolness quench his thirst. The beauty of the surroundings made every step worthwhile. Along the way, John met a few other hikers, friendly faces sharing stories and tips about the trail. They exchanged smiles and waves, appreciating the camaraderie that comes from a shared love of the outdoors. John enjoyed these brief interactions, feeling connected to the larger community of nature enthusiasts. One afternoon, as John trekked through a dense forest, he heard the distant sound of rushing water. Curious, he decided to follow the noise, hoping to find a hidden waterfall. The trail became steeper and the foliage thicker, but John pressed on, driven by his curiosity. After a challenging climb, he finally reached the source of the sound, a magnificent waterfall cascading into a crystal-clear pool. The sight was breathtaking, and John felt a surge of joy and accomplishment. He sat by the water's edge, taking in the beauty and feeling the cool mist on his face. "This is why I love hiking," he thought. "Moments like these make it all worth it." John spent some time relaxing by the waterfall, enjoying the peacefulness and the stunning view. He took several photos, wanting to remember this special place forever. As he packed up to continue his journey, he felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. The trail led John to a serene meadow, where wildflowers bloomed in vibrant colors. Butterflies fluttered gracefully, adding to the picturesque scene. John walked through the meadow, feeling the soft grass under his feet and the warmth of the sun on his skin. As he ventured deeper into the wilderness, John encountered various wildlife. He watched a family of deer grazing peacefully and saw a fox darting through the trees. Each sighting was a reminder of the delicate balance of nature and the beauty of life. One evening, John set up his tent near a quiet lake, the water reflecting the colors of the sunset. He built a small fire and cooked a simple meal, savoring the flavors and the sense of accomplishment from another day on the trail. As night fell, he gazed up at the star-studded sky, feeling a deep sense of peace. John thought about the reasons that brought him here: the need for solitude, the desire to honor his father, and the quest for inner peace. Each step on the trail was a step toward healing and understanding. He felt closer to nature and to himself with every passing day. The following morning, John woke up to the sound of birds singing and the gentle lapping of the lake's waves. He stretched and prepared for the day ahead, feeling energized and ready to continue his journey. The trail ahead promised new adventures and discoveries, and John was eager to embrace them. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. As he hiked through a dense forest, John came across a group of hikers taking a break. They greeted him warmly, sharing stories of their own adventures. John listened intently, feeling a sense of camaraderie and shared passion. They exchanged tips and encouragement, making his hike even more enjoyable. One afternoon, John reached a particularly challenging section of the trail. The path was narrow and rocky, winding up a steep hill. He took a deep breath and began the climb, focusing on each step. The effort was hard, but John felt a strong sense of determination pushing him forward. When he finally reached the top, the view was spectacular. He stood there, catching his breath, and looked out over the vast expanse of Yellowstone. The landscape stretched out endlessly, a testament to the park's natural beauty and grandeur. "This is incredible," John whispered, feeling a deep sense of achievement and gratitude. As the days continued, John's bond with nature grew stronger. He learned to navigate the trails with ease, his confidence building with each successful day. The challenges he faced only made him more resilient, and he felt a profound connection to the land around him. One evening, as John sat by his campfire, he reflected on his journey so far. He thought about the people who supported him, Maria, Mike, Emily, and felt a deep sense of appreciation. Their belief in him had given him the strength to embark on this adventure and to keep going when things got tough. "I'm so lucky to have such amazing people in my life," John thought, smiling softly. The nights were quiet and calm, with only the sounds of nature to keep him company. John enjoyed these moments of solitude, finding comfort in the simplicity and beauty of his surroundings. He felt a sense of peace and contentment, knowing he was exactly where he needed to be. One morning, John woke up to the sound of running water. He followed the noise and discovered a beautiful stream flowing through the forest. The water was clear and cold, perfect for a refreshing drink. John took a moment to appreciate the simple joys of nature, feeling grateful for the abundance around him. As he continued his hike, John encountered more stunning landscapes and fascinating wildlife. Each day brought new experiences and memories, adding to the richness of his adventure. He felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing he was living his dream. On a particularly sunny day, John reached a high ridge that offered a panoramic view of the park. He stood there, taking in the vastness of the wilderness, feeling a profound sense of awe and wonder. The mountains, forests, and lakes stretched out before him, a testament to the beauty and power of nature. "This is why I do this," John thought, feeling a surge of happiness and purpose. As the days turned into weeks, John's journey continued, each step bringing him closer to his goal. He faced challenges with courage and determination, overcoming obstacles with resilience and strength. His love for nature and his desire for peace kept him moving forward, one step at a time. One evening, as John sat by a campfire under a sky full of stars, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. He thought about his father and the memories they had shared, feeling his presence with him on the trail. The journey had been difficult at times, but it had also been incredibly rewarding. "I can do this," John whispered to himself, feeling a renewed sense of confidence and hope. As night fell, John looked up at the stars, feeling a connection to the universe and to the loved ones who supported him. He closed his eyes, letting the sounds of the wilderness lull him to sleep, dreaming of the adventures yet to come. The next morning, John woke up feeling refreshed and ready for another day of hiking. He packed up his gear and set off, following the trail through dense forests and open meadows. Each step brought new discoveries and a deeper appreciation for the natural world. As he hiked, John felt stronger and more determined. The challenges of the trail only fueled his passion, and he pushed himself to keep going, step by step. Each day brought new experiences and a deeper connection to the land he loved so much. One afternoon, John came across a breathtaking view from a high ridge. He stood there for a long time, taking in the panoramic scenery. The mountains stretched out in all directions, their peaks kissed by the soft sunlight. The sight filled him with awe and a profound sense of wonder. "I never get tired of this," John whispered to himself. "There's always something new to see." As he continued his hike, John felt stronger and more determined. The challenges of the trail only fueled his passion, and he pushed himself to keep going, step by step. Each day brought new experiences and a deeper connection to the land he loved so much. John Matthews woke up before the sun, feeling the cool morning air filled his tent. He stretched his arms and looked around the quiet campsite. The trees around him stood tall and strong, their leaves turning beautiful shades of orange, red, and yellow for October. John felt excited and ready for his big adventure. After a hearty breakfast of oatmeal and fruit, John packed his backpack carefully. He double-checked his map, water bottles, and snacks. Everything was in place for his solo hike through Yellowstone National Park. John loved nature and had dreamed of this trip for a long time. Today was the day he would start his journey. John stepped out of his tent and took a deep breath, enjoying the fresh morning air. The sky was clear, and the sun began to rise, casting a golden glow over the landscape. He could hear the gentle sound of a nearby river flowing over rocks. Birds were singing, and the forest was waking up with life. He began walking along the trail, his boots crunching on the fallen leaves. The path was surrounded by towering pine trees that seemed to touch the sky. Everywhere he looked, there was something new and beautiful to see. A family of deer crossed his path, gracefully moving through the woods. John stopped to watch them, feeling peaceful and happy. As he hiked higher, the scenery changed. The trees became fewer, and the land opened up to reveal stunning views of mountains covered in snow. John felt a sense of accomplishment with every step he took. He loved the feeling of being surrounded by such grand nature. Along the way, John saw many different animals. A fox darted through the underbrush, its red fur bright against the green leaves. He spotted a group of elk grazing in a meadow, their large antlers silhouetted against the sky. Each new sight filled him with wonder and excitement. John reached a small clearing where a clear, sparkling river flowed swiftly. He decided to take a short break, sitting on a smooth rock by the water's edge. He took out his water bottle and drank deeply, feeling refreshed. The sound of the river was soothing, and he watched as the water danced over the rocks, creating tiny rainbows in the sunlight. After resting for a while, John continued his hike. The trail became steeper, and he had to climb over rocks and roots. He didn't mind the challenge. It made him feel strong and capable. As he climbed, he noticed the colors of the forest changing again. The leaves were now a mix of gold and brown, signaling the arrival of autumn. John walked past a large fallen tree, its trunk covered in moss and tiny mushrooms. He marveled at how nature could make something old and broken look so beautiful. He took a moment to appreciate the quiet strength of the forest around him. As the day went on, the sunlight streamed through the trees, creating patterns of light and shadow on the ground. John felt a deep connection to the world around him. He knew that this journey was more than just a hike. It was a chance to find peace and maybe even discover something new about himself. He reached a high viewpoint just as the afternoon sun began to lower in the sky. From here, he could see for miles in every direction. The mountains stretched out like giants, their peaks covered in snow that glistened in the sunlight. Below, the forest spread out like a green blanket, dotted with streams and clearings. John sat down on a rocky ledge, taking in the breathtaking view. He pulled out his camera and snapped a few pictures, wanting to capture the beauty he was experiencing. As he looked around, he felt a sense of gratitude. He was alone in this vast wilderness, but he didn't feel lonely. Instead, he felt connected to everything around him. After a while, John decided it was time to keep moving. He stood up, feeling the cool breeze on his face, and continued down the trail. The path led him through a dense forest where the sunlight barely touched the ground. The air was filled with the scent of pine and earth, making him feel alive and energized. As evening approached, John found a small meadow with wildflowers in full bloom. The colors were vibrant, and the flowers swayed gently in the wind. He decided to set up his camp here for the night. He found a flat spot and began to unpack his tent, working quickly and efficiently. As he pitched his tent, the sky began to change colors. Shades of pink and purple spread across the horizon, painting a beautiful sunset. John finished setting up his tent just as the first stars began to appear in the night sky. He felt a sense of accomplishment and peace, knowing he had made it through another day of his adventure. After dinner, John sat by a small campfire, the flames crackling and casting a warm glow. He looked up at the stars, counting them one by one. The night was quiet, with only the sounds of the forest around him. He felt safe and content, surrounded by the beauty of nature. John thought about his journey so far and felt proud of himself. He had faced many challenges, like steep trails and unpredictable weather, but he had overcome them all. Each obstacle had made him stronger and more determined to reach his goal. He remembered why he decided to take this trip. Life had been difficult lately, and he needed time to think and heal. Being alone in the wilderness was helping him find peace and clarity. He knew that this experience was helping him grow and become a better person. As he lay down in his tent, John listened to the sounds of the night. The wind rustled the leaves, and an owl hooted in the distance. He felt calm and relaxed, ready to rest after a long day. He closed his eyes, thinking about the adventures that awaited him in the days to come. The next morning, John woke up to the sound of birds singing and the sun shining through his tent. He felt refreshed and ready to continue his hike. He packed up his gear quickly, eager to explore more of the beautiful wilderness. John followed a new trail that led him through a dense forest. The trees here were even taller, creating a canopy that filtered the sunlight into soft beams. He walked carefully, enjoying the peacefulness and the beauty around him. Every step felt like a new discovery, a new part of the world to explore. As he walked, John noticed the small details of the forest. He saw tiny insects crawling on leaves, colorful butterflies fluttering from flower to flower, and squirrels darting up trees with agility. Each sight filled him with joy and wonder, making him appreciate the little things in life. The trail led him to a large, clear lake. The water was so still that it mirrored the sky and the surrounding mountains perfectly. John sat by the water's edge, taking a moment to admire the view. He felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that he was exactly where he needed to be. After some time, John continued his hike, feeling energized and inspired by the beauty around him. The trail wound through different landscapes, each one more stunning than the last. He climbed over rocky hills, crossed wooden bridges over babbling brooks, and walked along narrow paths that hugged the sides of cliffs. As the day went on, John began to feel the effects of the hike. His muscles ached, and he was tired from walking so much. But he pushed through, determined to reach his destination. He knew that every step brought him closer to his goal and to the peace he was seeking. The afternoon sun cast long shadows on the trail, making the forest look magical. John walked with a steady pace, enjoying the rhythm of his steps and the sounds of nature around him. He felt strong and capable, proud of himself for taking on this challenge. As evening approached, John found another perfect spot to set up his camp. This area was surrounded by tall trees and had a gentle slope that made it easy to pitch his tent. He worked quickly, feeling the satisfaction of a job well done. With his camp set up, John prepared his dinner, enjoying a simple meal of pasta and vegetables. He ate slowly, savoring each bite and reflecting on the day's journey. The sun began to set, painting the sky with vibrant colors once again. After dinner, John sat by his campfire, feeling the warmth of the flames on his face. He watched as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, each one a tiny light in the vast darkness. The fire crackled and popped, creating a soothing sound that helped him relax. John thought about the people who cared about him back home. He missed his family and friends, but he knew that this journey was important for him. He felt a deep connection to the wilderness and a sense of purpose that kept him going. As he gazed up at the stars, John felt a sense of wonder and gratitude. He was surrounded by the beauty of nature, and he was grateful for every moment of his adventure. He knew that each day would bring new challenges and new experiences, but he was ready to face them with courage and determination. John lay down in his tent, feeling the cool night air on his skin. He closed his eyes, letting the sounds of the forest lull him to sleep. He dreamed of the trails he had walked, the animals he had seen, and the peace he had found in the wilderness. The next morning, John woke up feeling refreshed and ready to continue his hike. He packed up his gear, eager to explore more of the beautiful landscape. He knew that each day was a gift, a chance to discover something new and to grow stronger. As he set off on the trail once again, John felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. He was ready for whatever the wilderness had in store for him, knowing that he had the strength and resilience to overcome any challenge. He walked with confidence, his heart full of hope and determination. John continued his hike, each step bringing him closer to his goal. The trail led him through stunning landscapes, each one more beautiful than the last. He felt a deep sense of connection to the world around him, knowing that he was part of something much bigger. As the day went on, John faced new challenges, but he met each one with courage and determination. He climbed steep hills, crossed rushing streams, and navigated through dense forests. Each obstacle made him stronger, and he felt proud of himself for pushing through. The sun began to set once again, casting a golden glow over the landscape. John found a perfect spot to set up his camp, feeling a sense of accomplishment at the end of another successful day. He prepared his dinner, enjoying the simple meal and the beauty of the sunset. After dinner, John sat by his campfire, reflecting on his journey so far. He thought about the challenges he had faced and the strength he had found within himself. He felt a deep sense of pride and gratitude for the experience. As night fell, John watched the stars twinkle in the sky, feeling a sense of peace and contentment. He knew that his adventure was far from over, but he was ready for whatever lay ahead. He felt a strong connection to the wilderness and a renewed sense of purpose. John lay down in his tent, feeling the cool night air and the sounds of the forest around him. He closed his eyes, ready to rest and prepare for another day of hiking. He knew that each day brought new opportunities and new challenges, and he was excited to face them with courage and determination. As he drifted off to sleep, John felt a sense of hope and excitement for the days to come. He knew that his journey through Yellowstone was more than just a hike, it was a journey of self-discovery and growth. He was ready to embrace whatever the wilderness had to offer, knowing that he had the strength and resilience to overcome any obstacle. The next morning, John woke up early, feeling refreshed and ready to continue his adventure. He packed up his gear quickly, eager to explore more of the stunning wilderness. He set off on the trail, feeling a sense of excitement and anticipation for what the day would bring. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. As he hiked, John felt a deep sense of connection to the world around him. He admired the beauty of the mountains, the serenity of the rivers, and the diversity of the wildlife. Each step he took filled him with a sense of wonder and gratitude for the experience. John continued his hike, enjoying every moment of his journey. He felt strong and capable, proud of himself for taking on this challenge. He knew that each day brought new opportunities to grow and to discover something new about himself and the world around him. As the sun began to set once again, John found a perfect spot to set up his camp. He worked quickly and efficiently, feeling a sense of accomplishment at the end of another successful day. He prepared his dinner, enjoying the simple meal and the beauty of the sunset. After dinner, John sat by his campfire, reflecting on his journey so far. He thought about the challenges he had faced and the strength he had found within himself. He felt a deep sense of pride and gratitude for the experience, knowing that it was helping him grow and heal. As night fell, John watched the stars twinkle in the sky, feeling a sense of peace and contentment. He knew that his adventure was far from over, but he was ready for whatever lay ahead. He felt a strong connection to the wilderness and a renewed sense of purpose. John lay down in his tent, feeling the cool night air and the sounds of the forest around him. He closed his eyes, ready to rest and prepare for another day of hiking. He knew that each day brought new opportunities and new challenges, and he was excited to face them with courage and determination. As he drifted off to sleep, John felt a sense of hope and excitement for the days to come. He knew that his journey through Yellowstone was more than just a hike, it was a journey of self-discovery and growth. He was ready to embrace whatever the wilderness had to offer, knowing that he had the strength and resilience to overcome any obstacle. John Matthews continued his ascent through the wilderness, each step bringing him closer to his goal and deeper into the heart of nature. He felt a sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that he was exactly where he needed to be. John Matthews woke up before dawn, the first light of morning barely touching the horizon. He stretched his arms, feeling the cool breeze against his face. Today was the third day of his solo hike in Yellowstone, and he was determined to keep going. The air was fresh, filled with the scent of pine trees and the sound of birds singing. John loved these peaceful mornings, where the world felt quiet and still. As he packed his backpack, John double-checked his supplies. He had enough water, food, and all the gear he needed for the journey. He wanted to make sure he was prepared for anything. His family had given him good wishes before he left, and he felt a deep sense of gratitude. This hike was more than just an adventure, it was a way to find peace and clear his mind. John set off down the trail, his footsteps steady on the soft earth. The path was surrounded by tall trees that seemed to touch the sky. Sunlight streamed through the branches, creating patterns on the ground. He took a deep breath, feeling the calm of the forest wash over him. For a moment, all his worries melted away. But as the day went on, the weather began to change. Dark clouds gathered in the sky, and the wind picked up, making the trees sway and rustle loudly. John knew that mountain weather could be unpredictable, so he decided to find a safe spot to set up his tent before the storm hit. He walked carefully, watching his step on the uneven ground. The trail became rougher, with rocks and roots jutting out in different directions. John slipped a few times, but he didn't give up. Each time he fell, he got back up, brushing off the dirt and continuing forward. His muscles ached from the effort, but he kept moving, determined to reach his campsite before the weather got worse. As the sky darkened, the first drops of rain began to fall. John quickened his pace, feeling the cold rain soak through his clothes. He could hear thunder rumbling in the distance, and lightning flashed across the sky. The storm was coming, and he needed to find shelter quickly. His heart pounded as he pushed himself harder, the weight of his backpack making each step more difficult. Finally, John spotted a small clearing where he could set up his tent. He worked quickly, pitching the tent and securing it against the strong winds. Inside, he huddled close to his sleeping bag, listening to the rain pounding on the tent. The storm was fierce, with thunderclaps that seemed to shake the ground. John felt a mix of fear and relief. He was safe from the rain, but the loud noises made him feel uneasy. As the night went on, the storm showed no signs of stopping. John tried to stay calm, focusing on his breathing to keep his mind steady. He thought about why he had come here, remembering the peaceful mornings and the beauty of the forest. These thoughts gave him strength, helping him stay positive despite the challenging conditions. The next morning, the storm had passed, leaving the forest glistening with raindrops. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting a golden light over everything. John stepped out of his tent, feeling the warmth of the sun on his face. The air smelled fresh and clean, and the forest looked even more beautiful after the rain. He took a moment to appreciate the calm after the storm, feeling a sense of accomplishment for making it through the night. But the challenges were not over yet. As John continued his hike, he encountered rugged terrain that tested his endurance. Steep hills and rocky paths made each step a struggle. His legs felt heavy, and his muscles were sore from the previous days of hiking. Sometimes, he had to climb over large rocks or navigate through thick underbrush, slowing his progress. During one particularly tough stretch, John slipped on a loose rock and twisted his ankle. Pain shot through his leg, making it difficult to walk. He sat down, taking a moment to rest and assess his injury. He knew he had to keep going, but the pain was making it hard to stay positive. John took a deep breath, reminding himself of his goal and the strength he had shown so far. Using his trekking poles, John carefully tested his ankle, finding a way to support himself without putting too much weight on it. He adjusted his stride, moving more slowly but steadily. Each step was a reminder of his determination and resilience. Despite the pain, he refused to let it stop him. He focused on the path ahead, one step at a time, pushing through the discomfort. As the days went by, John faced moments of isolation that weighed heavily on his mind. Being alone in the wilderness was both peaceful and challenging. At night, the sounds of the forest could be loud and unsettling, making it hard to sleep. The vastness of the landscape sometimes made him feel small and alone, stirring thoughts of doubt and loneliness. To keep his spirits up, John started keeping a journal, writing down his thoughts and feelings each evening. He documented the beauty of the forest, the animals he saw, and the challenges he faced. Writing helped him process his emotions and stay connected to himself. He also found comfort in the memories of his family and friends, thinking about the people who cared for him and supported his journey. One afternoon, John reached a beautiful meadow filled with wildflowers and a sparkling stream. He decided to take a break and enjoy the scenery. Sitting by the water, he watched as the sunlight danced on the surface, creating shimmering patterns. The peacefulness of the meadow brought a sense of calm and rejuvenation. He felt a renewed sense of energy, ready to tackle the next part of his hike. However, nature continued to test John's resolve. A sudden hailstorm caught him off guard, with ice pellets pelting the ground and trees swaying violently. He quickly took shelter under a large rock formation, feeling the biting cold and hearing the harsh sounds of the hail hitting the earth. Shivering from the cold, John wrapped himself tightly in his blanket, trying to stay warm until the storm passed. After the hailstorm, John found that the trail had changed. Fallen trees and rocks blocked his usual path, forcing him to find a new route. Navigating the altered trail was tricky, and he had to use his map and compass more carefully. The unexpected detour added to his fatigue, making each step even more challenging. But John remained determined, knowing that giving up was not an option. As he walked, John noticed the signs of autumn everywhere. Leaves in vibrant colors of red, orange, and yellow covered the ground, and the trees were a stunning display of fall beauty. The changing seasons added a magical touch to his journey, reminding him of the cycle of life and the beauty that comes with every change. These moments of beauty provided a welcome distraction from the difficulties he faced. One evening, John set up his camp near a quiet lake. The calm water reflected the twilight sky, creating a serene and beautiful scene. As he sat by the fire, he thought about how far he had come and the obstacles he had overcome. The fire crackled and provided warmth, making the chilly night more bearable. He felt a sense of pride in his perseverance and the strength he had discovered within himself. But the wilderness was not done testing John yet. During a particularly cold night, a heavy snowfall began, blanketing the forest in white. The snow made it hard to see the trail, and the cold seeped into his tent, making it difficult to stay warm. John bundled up in his layers, trying to conserve heat and keep himself comfortable. The snow was beautiful, but it added another layer of difficulty to his journey. In the midst of the snowfall, John heard a distant noise that made his heart race. It was the sound of a branch snapping under the weight of the snow, followed by the rustling of leaves. His mind raced with worry, wondering if another animal was nearby. He stayed still, listening intently, but the sounds faded away, leaving him to focus on the silence and the falling snow. As the days turned into weeks, John's body began to feel the toll of the journey. His muscles were sore, his feet were blistered, and his back ached from carrying the heavy backpack. Each day was a test of his endurance, but he refused to let the hardships break his spirit. He pushed through the pain, driven by his love for nature and his desire to complete the hike. One morning, John woke up to find the forest covered in a light mist. The air was cool and damp, and the mist created an otherworldly atmosphere. He walked slowly, enjoying the mysterious beauty of the scene. The mist seemed to hide the trail, making it harder to navigate, but John stayed focused, using his map and compass to guide him. As he continued, John encountered a swift river that had swollen from recent rains. The water rushed past with powerful force, making it impossible to cross without careful planning. John looked for a safe spot to ford the river, testing the current before stepping into the water. His heart pounded as he carefully made his way across, each step requiring balance and courage. Reaching the other side, he felt a surge of relief and accomplishment. Throughout his hike, John kept encountering the duality of nature, the breathtaking beauty and the harsh challenges. He marveled at the majestic mountains, the vibrant sunsets, and the diverse wildlife, but he also faced the harsh elements, rough terrain, and moments of deep solitude. This balance made his journey profound, teaching him about the strength and resilience needed to survive in the wild. One afternoon, as John was hiking through a dense forest, he heard the distant call of an eagle. He stopped to watch as the bird soared high above, its wings spread wide against the blue sky. The sight of the eagle filled him with awe and inspiration, reminding him of the freedom and beauty that nature offered. He felt a deep connection to the world around him, finding solace in these moments of wonder. But the challenges kept coming. One day, John faced a fierce windstorm that whipped through the trees, bending them and sending leaves swirling around him. The wind was so strong that it was hard to walk straight, and John struggled to keep his balance. He pressed on, using his trekking poles to steady himself against the force of the wind. Each step was a battle, but he refused to let the storm stop him. As the hike continued, John found himself becoming more aware of his own limits. He took moments to rest whenever he could, allowing his body to recover and his mind to stay sharp. He drank plenty of water and ate nutritious meals to keep his strength up. These small acts of self-care were essential, helping him stay healthy and focused on his goal. One evening, John reached a high ridge that offered a stunning panoramic view of the park. He sat down to watch the sunset, the sky ablaze with colors of pink, purple, and gold. The sight was breathtaking, and he felt a deep sense of peace and gratitude. Sitting there, he reflected on his journey so far, feeling proud of the progress he had made despite the challenges. But nature was always full of surprises. On another day, John encountered a group of beavers working on their dam. He watched them for a while, fascinated by their industriousness and teamwork. The sight of the beavers reminded him of the importance of perseverance and cooperation, even in the face of obstacles. It was a lesson that resonated deeply with him, reinforcing his own determination to keep moving forward. As the weeks passed, John's journey became a test of both his physical and mental strength. He faced each new obstacle with courage, drawing on his inner reserves of resilience. The solitude of the wilderness allowed him to connect deeply with himself, uncovering strengths he hadn't known he possessed. He learned to appreciate the small victories, like finding a perfect spot to rest or spotting a rare animal in the distance. One morning, John woke up to find the trail leading to his campsite had been partially washed away by a recent rainstorm. He had to carefully navigate around the debris, using his map to find an alternate route. The detour added extra miles to his hike, but John remained patient and focused. He knew that every challenge was a part of his journey, shaping him into a stronger and more resilient person. In the late afternoon, John reached a dense thicket of blackberry bushes. The thorns were sharp, and the path was narrow, making it difficult to move forward. He carefully pushed aside the branches, avoiding the painful thorns. The scent of ripe berries filled the air, and he couldn't resist picking a few to snack on. The sweet taste of the berries provided a much-needed boost of energy, lifting his spirits and reminding him of the simple pleasures in life. As he hiked deeper into the forest, John came across a serene pond surrounded by weeping willows. The water was clear and still, reflecting the surrounding trees and sky like a mirror. He took a moment to sit by the pond, dipping his hands into the cool water. The peacefulness of the scene brought him a sense of calm and renewal, helping him recharge for the next part of his journey. But the wilderness was unpredictable, and John knew he had to stay vigilant. One day, he heard the distant roar of a waterfall and decided to explore. The hike to the waterfall was steep and rocky, but the sound of rushing water kept him motivated. When he finally reached the waterfall, he was awestruck by its power and beauty. The sight was mesmerizing, and he felt a deep connection to the natural world around him. As the sun began to set, John realized how much he had grown during his hike. The challenges he faced had tested his limits, but they had also taught him valuable lessons about resilience and perseverance. He felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that he had pushed through the hardships and continued on his journey despite the obstacles. One evening, as John was setting up his tent, he noticed the sky filled with stars. The Milky Way stretched across the night, a brilliant display of light in the dark sky. He sat outside his tent, gazing up at the stars, feeling a sense of wonder and amazement. The vastness of the universe made him feel both small and connected to something greater, filling him with a sense of peace and humility. But the wilderness was always a place of challenges. On another day, John encountered a thick fog that made it difficult to see the trail ahead. He had to rely on his map and compass more than ever, carefully choosing his steps to avoid getting lost. The fog was disorienting, making each step feel uncertain, but John stayed focused, trusting in his skills and determination to guide him through. As the hike continued, John found himself reflecting on the balance between beauty and hardship in nature. He marveled at the stunning landscapes and the intricate ecosystems, but he also faced the harsh realities of the wilderness. This balance taught him to appreciate the resilience required to survive and thrive in such an environment. One afternoon, John reached a high-altitude meadow where wild herbs grew in abundance. He decided to take a break and enjoy the soothing scents of the herbs. Sitting on a rock, he closed his eyes and took a deep breath, feeling the healing power of nature wash over him. The moment of tranquility was a welcome respite from the physical and mental challenges of the hike. But nature always had more to test. On a particularly hot day, the sun blazed down on John as he hiked through a sun-drenched valley. The heat was intense, making each step feel like a struggle. He drank plenty of water, wiping the sweat from his brow, and sought shade whenever he could. The scorching sun was a harsh reminder of the endurance needed to complete his journey. As the days turned into weeks, John's bond with the wilderness grew stronger. He felt a deep respect for the land and the creatures that lived there. Each new challenge he faced made him more determined to continue, knowing that every obstacle was a step towards his goal. The beauty and the hardships of nature were intertwined, creating a rich and meaningful experience that shaped him in profound ways. One morning, John woke up to find that the leaves had started to change colors, signaling the arrival of autumn. The vibrant hues of red, orange, and yellow painted the forest, creating a breathtaking display. He took a moment to admire the beauty around him, feeling a sense of gratitude for the journey he was on. The changing seasons were a reminder of the passage of time and the continuous cycle of life. As he hiked through the colorful forest, John felt a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges he had faced had made him stronger and more resilient, but the beauty of the wilderness had also filled him with hope and inspiration. He knew that he still had more miles to go, but he was ready to face whatever came his way with courage and determination. One afternoon, John encountered a group of deer grazing in a sunny clearing. He watched them quietly, appreciating their grace and the peacefulness they brought to the forest. The sight of the deer provided a moment of joy and a reminder of the gentle side of nature. It was these moments that made the hardships worthwhile, giving him the strength to keep moving forward. But nature's tests were never ending. On another day, John faced a fierce thunderstorm that rolled in quickly, bringing heavy rain and strong winds. He hurried to find shelter, struggling against the elements as he sought safety. The storm was intense, with lightning illuminating the dark sky and thunder shaking the ground. John felt a surge of fear, but he pushed through, determined to stay safe and continue his journey. As the storm passed, John found himself drenched and exhausted, but he was safe. He took a moment to dry off and warm up, feeling a sense of relief and accomplishment. The storm had been a tough challenge, but it had also shown him the importance of resilience and the ability to stay calm in the face of adversity. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Throughout his hike, John encountered many more challenges, each one testing his limits and pushing him to grow. He faced rough terrain, unpredictable weather, and moments of deep solitude, but he also experienced the incredible beauty and tranquility of the wilderness. Each day brought new lessons and new opportunities to discover his own strength and resilience. As the weeks went by, John's journey became more than just a hike. It was a journey of self-discovery and personal growth. He learned to rely on himself, to push through pain and fatigue, and to find peace in the midst of chaos. The challenges he faced were tough, but they also made him stronger and more determined to reach his goal. One morning, John reached the summit of a high mountain peak. The view from the top was breathtaking, with endless forests, towering mountains, and a clear blue sky stretching out in every direction. He stood there for a long moment, taking in the beauty and feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. The journey had been hard, but moments like this made it all worthwhile. As he began his descent, John felt a sense of calm and confidence. He had faced many challenges and overcome them, proving to himself that he was capable of more than he had ever imagined. The wilderness had tested him, but it had also revealed his true strength and resilience. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, John set up his tent near a quiet stream. The sound of the flowing water was soothing, and he felt a deep sense of peace as he settled in for the night. He reflected on his journey so far, feeling grateful for the lessons he had learned and the strength he had gained. The challenges of the wilderness had been tough, but they had also brought out the best in him, making him stronger and more resilient. As the days continued, John pressed on with renewed determination. Each step brought him closer to his goal, and each challenge made him more resilient. He knew that the toughest part of his journey was still ahead, but he was ready to face whatever came his way. The beauty and the hardships of the wilderness had shaped him, preparing him for the trials that lay ahead. In the end, John's journey through Yellowstone was not just a hike, it was a testament to the human spirit and the incredible resilience that lies within each of us. The challenges he faced and the beauty he witnessed had created an emotional and unforgettable experience, connecting him deeply with nature and with himself. As he continued on his path, John knew that he was ready for whatever the wilderness had in store for him, driven by the strength and determination he had discovered along the way. John Matthews had been hiking for several days, enjoying the peace and beauty of Yellowstone. The sun had set hours ago, and the sky was now a deep shade of blue, sprinkled with twinkling stars. He had set up his small camp near a quiet creek, the sound of flowing water soothing after a long day on the trail. As he sat by the fire, he pulled out his notebook to jot down some observations about the wildlife he had seen that day. The night was calm, with only the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant call of an owl breaking the silence. John felt a sense of accomplishment. This hike was his way of finding peace and reconnecting with nature after a tough year. He looked up at the stars, feeling grateful for the moment of tranquility. The next morning, John woke up early, eager to continue his journey. He packed his gear and set off along a narrow trail that wound through dense forest. The air was crisp, and the leaves crunched under his sturdy hiking boots. As he walked, he admired the tall trees and the vibrant colors of the autumn foliage. Birds sang cheerfully from the branches above, adding music to the serene landscape. After a few hours of hiking, John decided to take a break by a small, secluded creek. He sat down on a large rock, taking out his camera to capture the beauty around him. As he looked closer, he noticed something unusual on the ground near the water's edge, fresh tracks that he hadn't seen before. Curiosity sparked, John crouched down to examine them more carefully. The tracks were large, much bigger than any animal he had encountered so far. They were deeper and more defined, suggesting that whatever made them was strong and heavy. John felt a flutter of excitement mixed with a hint of concern. He knew that Yellowstone was home to grizzly bears, but he had been lucky so far to avoid any close encounters. He decided to follow the tracks, hoping to learn more about the wildlife in this part of the park. As he walked along the trail, the tracks led him deeper into the forest. The trees seemed to grow taller and the shadows longer, making the path feel more mysterious. John kept his eyes peeled, scanning the ground for any more signs of the animal. After walking for a while, John reached a clearing where the creek widened into a small pool. The area was surrounded by dense brush and tall pines, making it a perfect hiding spot for wildlife. He sat down again, pulling out his notebook to record his findings. The tracks had stopped here, indicating that the animal might have moved on or stayed hidden. John decided to take a short rest, enjoying the peaceful sounds of the water and the gentle breeze. He took a sip of water and munched on a granola bar, feeling the warmth of the sun on his face. As he looked around, he noticed a movement in the distance, a large figure moving slowly between the trees. At first, John thought it might be another hiker, but as the figure came closer, he realized it was something much bigger. It was a grizzly bear, easily twice his size, lumbering towards the pool. John froze, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew that bears could be dangerous, especially if they felt threatened or were protecting their territory. The bear was massive, with thick fur and sharp claws. It seemed oblivious to John's presence, focused solely on the pool of water. The bear began to drink, its large head dipping into the water and then lifting back up. John held his breath, watching every move the bear made. He wanted to stay calm, remembering the safety tips he had learned about bear encounters. As the bear drank, John noticed something unusual. The bear seemed restless, almost agitated. It looked around the clearing, sniffing the air as if searching for something. John felt a chill run down his spine. This wasn't just a peaceful bear enjoying the morning, something was off. He glanced at the tracks again, noticing that they led directly to the bear's current spot. It was as if the bear had been following him, or maybe it had sensed his presence from the start. John's mind raced, trying to figure out the best way to stay safe. He knew that running could trigger the bear's chase instinct, so he stayed still, hoping the bear would lose interest and move on. Minutes felt like hours as John and the bear stood there in silence. The bear finally finished drinking and started to move away, disappearing into the forest. John let out a sigh of relief, but the encounter left him shaken. He sat there for a while, trying to calm his racing heart and process what had just happened. As he packed up his things to continue his hike, John couldn't shake the feeling that the bear had been watching him. He wondered if the bear was protecting its cubs, or if there was another reason for the unusual behavior. The forest, which had always felt like a sanctuary, now seemed filled with hidden dangers. John decided to move to a different trail, hoping to avoid any further encounters. He walked with more caution, every sound making him jump. The forest felt different now, more alive and unpredictable. He kept his senses sharp, constantly scanning his surroundings for any signs of movement. As the day went on, John tried to keep his mind off the bear. He admired the beauty around him, but his thoughts kept drifting back to the morning encounter. He realized how small and vulnerable he was in the vast wilderness. The experience made him more aware of the delicate balance between humans and nature. By late afternoon, John reached a higher elevation with a stunning view of the park. He took a moment to rest and enjoy the scenery, feeling a mix of awe and caution. The memory of the bear lingered, reminding him of the wildness that still existed in these pristine areas. He made a mental note to be even more careful as he continued his hike. As evening approached, John found another suitable spot to set up his camp. He worked quickly, knowing that nightfall could bring its own set of challenges. He built a fire and ate a simple meal, the crackling flames providing a comforting light in the darkness. The sounds of the forest at night were different, more eerie and unpredictable. After dinner, John sat by the fire, reflecting on his hike so far. He felt a deep connection to the wilderness, but also a newfound respect for the dangers it held. He thought about the bear and what it might have been thinking, wondering if he had unknowingly intruded into its space. As he prepared for bed, John took extra precautions to ensure his safety. He stored his food securely and made sure his campsite was as hidden as possible. He knew that bears have a keen sense of smell and that any scent could attract unwanted attention. Every step he took now was measured and deliberate, a stark contrast to the carefree enthusiasm of his first days on the trail. Lying in his sleeping bag, John tried to calm his mind. The encounter with the bear replayed in his thoughts, each detail vivid in his memory. He realized how fragile life was out here, surrounded by such immense and powerful creatures. The night was quiet, but John couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Hours passed, and the night deepened. John remained vigilant, every rustle and snap of a twig making him tense. He eventually drifted into a restless sleep, haunted by the memory of the bear and the uncertainty of what the next day might bring. The next morning, John woke up early, the first light of dawn filtering through the trees. He felt a mix of determination and anxiety as he prepared to continue his hike. The previous day's encounter had changed something in him, making him more cautious and aware of his surroundings. He packed his gear carefully, double-checking everything to ensure his safety. As he set off on the trail, John couldn't help but think about the bear. He respected its strength and presence, knowing that he was just a guest in its home. The forest seemed both inviting and intimidating, a place of beauty and hidden threats. John walked with a new sense of purpose, determined to continue his journey while staying safe. Throughout the day, John kept an eye out for any signs of the bear. He moved quietly, minimizing his noise and staying on the marked trails. The forest was alive with activity, from the chirping of insects to the rustling of small animals in the underbrush. John felt a deep appreciation for the ecosystem, understanding how every creature played a role in maintaining the balance. As noon approached, John reached a narrow bridge over a fast-flowing stream. He paused to take in the view, the water sparkling in the sunlight as it rushed past. It was a beautiful spot, but John couldn't relax fully, knowing that danger could be lurking nearby. He sat down for a moment, savoring the peace while remaining alert. Suddenly, John heard a loud rustling from the other side of the bridge. He froze, listening intently. His heart raced as he tried to identify the source of the noise. It was a sound he knew all too well, the unmistakable steps of a grizzly bear. John's blood ran cold as he realized the bear might be back. He quickly assessed the situation, remembering the safety tips he had learned. He stayed calm, knowing that sudden movements could provoke the bear. John slowly backed away from the bridge, keeping his eyes on the area where the sound had come from. His mind raced, searching for the best way to avoid a confrontation. As he moved, John noticed more tracks leading away from the stream. The bear was nearby, and this time, it seemed more determined. John knew he had to act carefully to ensure his safety. He decided to climb a nearby tree, a strategy he had read about but never had to use before. Reaching the base of a sturdy pine, John began to climb, his muscles straining as he pulled himself up. The bear approached the bridge, sniffing the air and looking around. It stopped where John had been, seemingly confused by his sudden disappearance. John climbed higher, reaching a safe vantage point just as the bear started to paw at the ground. From his perch, John watched as the bear circled the area, searching for any sign of him. The bear was large and powerful, its movements slow but deliberate. John felt a mix of fear and awe, realizing how close he was to this magnificent creature. He stayed as quiet as possible, hoping the bear would lose interest and move on. Minutes felt like hours as John stayed in the tree, holding his breath and watching the bear. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the bear gave up and turned away, disappearing into the forest. John let out a sigh of relief, carefully climbing down from the tree. His heart was still pounding, but he felt a sense of triumph for having handled the situation. John took a moment to collect himself, feeling both shaken and empowered by the encounter. He knew that the wilderness was unpredictable and that he needed to stay vigilant. With renewed determination, he continued his hike, keeping a safe distance from any signs of wildlife. As the day progressed, John felt more confident, having successfully navigated the threat of the bear. He enjoyed the stunning landscapes, from rolling hills to crystal-clear lakes, but he never let his guard down. Every step he took was measured, every sound carefully listened to. By late afternoon, John reached a meadow filled with wildflowers. He paused to take in the beauty, feeling a sense of accomplishment for making it through another day. The challenges he faced had only strengthened his resolve, making him appreciate the wilderness even more. As the sun began to set, John found a flat area to set up his camp. He worked quickly, building a fire and securing his food to prevent any further bear encounters. The sky turned shades of orange and pink, painting a breathtaking backdrop for the evening. John sat by the fire, reflecting on the day's events and the lessons he had learned. He thought about the bear and the delicate balance between humans and nature. John realized that while he sought peace in the wilderness, he was also a part of it, sharing the space with the incredible wildlife that called Yellowstone home. This understanding deepened his respect for the environment and the creatures that inhabited it. As night fell, John settled into his sleeping bag, feeling a mix of exhaustion and fulfillment. The day's experiences had been intense, but they had also brought him closer to understanding the wild world around him. He drifted off to sleep with a sense of gratitude, knowing that he was part of something much larger and more powerful than himself. The next morning, John woke up refreshed, ready to continue his adventure. He packed his gear and set off with a lighter heart, eager to explore more of the park while staying safe. The memory of the bear stayed with him, a reminder of the wildness and beauty that made his hike so meaningful. As he hiked through the morning sun, John felt a deep connection to the land. Every step he took was filled with purpose, every breath a testament to his love for nature. He moved with confidence, knowing that he was prepared and aware of the challenges that could arise. Throughout the day, John encountered more signs of wildlife, from deer grazing in the distance to eagles soaring overhead. He took photos and made notes, documenting his journey with care. The forest was alive with activity, each creature playing its part in the grand tapestry of nature. By evening, John reached a high vantage point overlooking a vast valley. He set up his camp, the sight of the sunset filling him with awe. The colors of the sky mirrored the vibrant hues of the forest, creating a stunning display of nature's artistry. John felt a sense of peace, knowing that he had navigated the wilderness with respect and caution. As night descended, John sat by his fire, the stars twinkling above like diamonds. He reflected on his journey, the challenges he had faced, and the beauty he had witnessed. The encounter with the bear had been a turning point, teaching him about the importance of vigilance and respect in the wild. John felt a deep sense of gratitude for the experience, knowing that it had made him stronger and more connected to the world around him. He looked up at the night sky, feeling a profound sense of belonging in the vast wilderness of Yellowstone. With each passing day, John grew more attuned to the rhythms of nature. He learned to read the signs of the forest, understanding the subtle cues that indicated the presence of wildlife. His confidence soared as he moved through the trails, each step a testament to his resilience and love for the outdoors. As he continued his hike, John encountered more breathtaking sights and faced new challenges. Each experience deepened his appreciation for the wilderness, strengthening his resolve to honor and protect the natural world. The memory of the bear remained with him, a symbol of the wildness and beauty that made his journey so meaningful. In the end, John's hike through Yellowstone was more than just an adventure. It was a journey of self-discovery and connection to nature. He returned home with stories to share and a heart full of gratitude, knowing that he had been part of something truly extraordinary. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell.